Hello, BookTube, and welcome to Epic Comic Book Wednesday. This is a world's finest collaboration between Michael K Vaughan and myself, where we talk about comic books on Wednesday. It's a regular thing that we do every Wednesday. It's beloved by the three people who watch. It's been an event for a very long time, and unfortunately, since I horned my way into the event, Mike gets to pick what we talk about, and unfortunately, this beloved event coincides with another beloved event on BookTube, Garb August. You may remember, some of you, the three of you who watched these videos, that last year, during Garb August, the Epic Comic Book Wednesday picks were perfectly suited to please Michael K Vaughan and displease Steve. Because whenever Michael K Vaughan strays from the straight and narrow, his comic book tastes tend towards giant apes, giant insects, bug-eyed monsters, and Ghost Rider. He strays into the brambles of garbage. And, well, today that is happening. We all knew this day would come. There was no avoiding it. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. What are you doing, baby? You going to go over to your chair? Is that what you're going to do? What are you doing? Huh? Come on. You could do it. You could do it. Take it nice and slow. There you go. We all knew this day was coming. Several of you have joked about it in the comments of Epic Comic Book Wednesdays over the years. This sword of Damocles has been hanging over my head, and it's finally happened. We are talking today about issue number 1 of ROM Space Knight. I will leave it to Michael K Vaughan to give you the full lowdown on all the blow-by-blow history of how this abomination happened for Marvel Comics. But the short of it is that Marvel got into a sweetheart deal with a toy manufacturer who was making a thing, a knight, a character, that they were calling ROM. Nothing more was known of ROM Space Knight other than what it looked like. Nothing. And Marvel thought, hey, we've got the license of this thing is really cheap. This tie-in it might help us. We'll sell some toys. We'll get some much-needed money. So we'll do a ROM Space Knight comic book. Now, I'm not saying that's inherently a bad idea. Mainstream comic book companies buying franchises is not inherently a bad idea. It can work out really well. It can do wonders. Marvel did this with, believe it or not, Battlestar Galactica. Some Walt Simonson issues in Battlestar Galactica that were really, really good. They did it in Star Wars. Some issues with Ron Friend's artwork for Star Wars that were really good. And perhaps much closer to the point here, they did it for Micronauts. A series of toys called Micronauts, where they just happened to get a great artist who poured a lot, and the artist and the writer poured a lot of time and energy into the world of Micronauts, which also, just coincidentally, lined up a little with Marvel Comics, which already had a microverse. It can sometimes work. It doesn't work here at all. It doesn't work with ROM Space Knight at all. The main reason being this is boring. This is a boring, dumb, derivative idea. It's just a guy, and it's just a robot. That's all. Here you have the cover of issue number 1, a crotch shot of a robot. Great. Yeah, that's just what I want. This was written by Bill Mantlo. It has pencils by Sal Buscema, who is, in my mind, pretty much the quintessential comic book artist. He doesn't have any eccentricities. He doesn't have, to be fair to him, he doesn't have any excess of talent. It's not that he has no talent like Herb Trimpe, but it's also not that he's not capable of what his brother John Buscema could do, for instance, of taking artwork up a notch. And there's nothing odd or unusual about his artwork, like there was for his successor on the artwork of ROM Space Knight, Steve Ditko. Only not the Steve Ditko who comes to this book. But anyway, Instead, Sal Buscema is just a quintessential comic book artist for Marvel. I guess you could say that Kurt Swan was that for DC, but Sal Buscema, he has excellent panel arrangement, really, really good at mimicking the dramatic beats of the script in his panels, which not everybody can do. His faces look different, and yet they are obviously signature. His action sequences are really good. He is reliable, the soul of reliability. And they got him to draw this thing, which starts with Rom Space Knight arriving on Earth. Now you can see he arrives on Earth in a flaming comet, and it doesn't hurt him. The editor on this was Joe Duffy, who really should have known better. But Rom Space Knight comes to Earth. He is almost struck by a car, which he grabs, so he's demonstrating super strength. He points a ray gun at this woman and blasts her with it, but has no effect on her at all. And he's not talking. He's not saying anything to her, so we don't know what's going on. The scene shifts to a little town in West Virginia. Rom has come to Earth just outside of West Virginia. And the little town in West Virginia is horrified because he has gone there, this giant silent robot, and he is blasting the citizenship with this ray gun of his. And two of the citizens that he blasts seem to die. Now, we hear their talk amongst themselves. They're whispering. The townspeople don't hear this. One of them says, his energy analyzer will not harm them. Its only function is to reveal the truth about us. There's nowhere for us to run, no place to hide. Rom sees them, blasts them, and they look dead. Now, the key here is that these two have been in this town their whole lives. Everyone in town thinks that two of their old friends have been killed. The townspeople actually say, Mike Collins and Perry Sykes, dead? The robot's a killer. And the harried mayor of the town is on the phone to federal law enforcement saying, I've got a killer robot in my town in West Virginia. What are you going to do about it? There's even a panel where the switchboard operator's trying to alert help. You don't know what a switchboard operator is, and you have no idea what she's doing with that panel. But if you look it up, you'll see it. You'll see pictures. Rom talks to the woman that he saved from the car crash. He goes back to her and talks to her. It turns out that he has a translator that allows him to communicate. And she asks him why you killed two of her fellow townspeople. And he says they weren't people. They were, in fact, my enemy, dire wraiths. They were my arch cosmic enemy. They're the ones I killed, and I didn't kill them. I banished them to another dimension. It's just their physical husks that look dead. And she's confused by this. She says, you're mad. I've known those two men for years. I went to high school with one of them. And Rom decides when he hears that this is time for him to tell his origin story. Of 200 years ago, when his planet Galadon was peaceful and they were exploring the galaxy, and they were worthless, the Galadonians, not because they were exploring the galaxy, but because they were hippies. They're dressed like a road company of the Pirates of Penzance. And they encounter these dire wraiths that rip the snot out of them. So back on the home world of Galador, they need to come up with a defense against these dire wraiths. But the dire wraiths are using not only technology, but sorcery. No explanation given. The Galadorians have to come up with something, and they have a way, thankfully. Their leader is a wise hippie. And they come up with a plan. They will create space knights. They will fuse members of their citizenry with highly advanced, superpowered exoskeletons. So the Galadorians who volunteer are not wearing this armor. They have become this armor. They're fused with it. And the first one to volunteer is a hippie named Rom. So he becomes the first space knight, And Sal Buscema he rises to the challenge of some of the artistry here. The Space Knights fly into space and form a line against their enemies. That is a pretty good panel. That's pretty good. He and all his other Space Knights fly into battle and fight against the Dire Wraiths and achieve a kind of victory, but the Dire Wraiths scatter to the winds and Rom has to hunt them across the galaxy. And he explains to this woman, why I have no idea, but he explains to this woman that he's not actually killing them. His gun banishes them to a limbo dimension. And she says, look, Mr. Rom, you're asking me to take the word of a giant alien that people I've known all my life aren't people at all, but some kind of sinister space spooks? And he says, did you not see the Wraith banished when I banished to limbo? And she says, all I saw was two people die horribly in flames. And he says, wait, can it be that my analyzer reveals the truth to my cyborg eyes alone? Perhaps that is why humans fled in terror. To me, the enemy was clear, but to human eyes, it must have seemed that an alien monster had slain their neighbors. I don't know why she believes him, but she appears to. It doesn't matter, because he is then fired upon by the army, who has shown up in the foothills of West Virginia. They've shown up, and he, of course, turns his weapon on them because he thinks there might be Dire Wraiths in their midst. So he starts blasting away at the army, destroying their weapons, throwing their tanks around, and blasting them with his weapon, having already been told by this woman that it's going to look to them like he's killing people. Doesn't matter, he keeps doing it. And sure enough, one of the Dire Wraiths blasts him with an energy beam. Doesn't have any effect on him, for some reason. I think it would. And he blasts the guy to an alien dimension. Now here, unlike the opening scene where Sal Buscema very, very candidly shows us just two men being blasted, here we see them being blasted into another dimension. And the army general is outraged, because to him, just people have been killed. And this woman seems to be the only one who knows the truth. And the word is not really getting out unfiltered because the switchboard operator is a Dire Wraith. And Marvel made it clear pretty much right away that Rom is part of Marvel continuity. This is not a separate universe. Just like they did with Micronauts, so too they do with Rom, where he is part of Marvel continuity. Which, if true, he arrives on Earth in a comet and starts blasting people with a ray gun, appearing to kill them. If that's the case, and he arrives in a small town in West Virginia, I don't think it would be more than half an hour before he was facing the Fantastic Four or the Avengers. That's what those teams are there for. Now, you could say, all right, maybe they were busy, or maybe the telephone lines were down, or maybe that switchboard operator is stopping the word from getting to Manhattan. It isn't long before Rom is dealing with other members of the Marvel Universe. He faces a lame-ass character named Jack of Hearts, who'll probably show up in Garb August, now that I think about it. A character that... Michael K. Vaughan was imprinted out of the egg in the 90s, so I guarantee you he likes Jack of Hearts. But he faces Jack of Hearts, he faces the Chris Claremont X-Men in a story that should not happen the way it does. It just shouldn't. It's done that way solely. He also, in a storyline that I was not buying Rom, of course. I bought the first issue and hated it so much, but I didn't buy any other issues. But I do remember seeing on the newsstand Rom against Galactus. Oh my God. The whole run of this was dumb and boring and trivial and derivative. It's not. I know that Sal Buscema was kind of happy about some of the freedom that he was given for the artwork on this book, but it's not anywhere near his best work. Not anywhere close. You might think from that original description that I made that he doesn't have anything like best work or worst work, but that's not true. When he's really going strong, his artwork is really, really good. He's had some issues. I have some runs like that on various books, especially one particular little run that he did on Spider-Man. But not here. Not here. This is Marvel whoring itself out for a paycheck from Hasbro or Mattel or whoever made ROM. I have no idea. No idea at all. And for some reason, fans latched onto this character. So he shows up in other books. He shows up on, I think he was at one point an Avenger. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Now, I will give credit where it's due that later on, another Marvel writer did make somewhat effective use of the Dire Wraiths, but no effective use can be made of Rom. He's just a guy in armor. Well, Marvel already has a guy in armor, so this is just dumb. It isn't quite Machine Man dumb, but maybe we're getting to Machine Man. So I don't know. So I reread the first issue of ROM, Space Knight, for Epic Comic Book Wednesday. It feels like it's for Garb August, but it was for Epic Comic Book Wednesday. Oh my God! And it was just as bad now as it was 40 years ago. So I will leave a link to Mike's video down below so you can get a much different assessment. I'm sure it's a much different assessment, a much kinder assessment, and you can make up your own mind. Why would Rom stay on Earth? What are his superpowers? How is it that it's so hard for him to get his story out? Why would anyone believe him? All right, I have reread ROM. You can all rest contented now. I'm hoping I never have to look at this piece of crap again. Thank you